It's Sunday evening. The stands at St. James's Park are heaving, 52,000 fans on the edge of their seats, no one daring to blink. For Newcastle United, this isn't just another football match. This is a high-stakes crossroads, a date with destiny that could reshape not just the fate of a club, but signal a seismic shift in the power dynamics of English and European football. A win against Everton tonight doesn't only mean bragging rights. It means Champions League football, a windfall of tens of millions, and the guaranteed attention of the world's biggest footballing names. Lose, and Newcastle's dreams of joining Europe's elite are left hanging by a thread, their financial plans facing immediate and uncomfortable questions, all in the space of 90 minutes. But why, in 2024, do the stakes feel so high for Newcastle? Why does this one match hold the power to tip the scales of sporting glory, financial explosion, or potential stagnation? Let's unpack the extraordinary transformation of Newcastle United, a club once bogged down by mediocrity, now on the edge of football's financial and competitive superhighway. Not so long ago, Newcastle was little more than a sleeping giant. The club's story was defined by passionate support, an iconic stadium, and a string of unfulfilled ambitions. For years, their owner operated on a shoestring, reluctant to pour in the money required to truly compete with the likes of Manchester City, Liverpool, or even Tottenham. The fans felt it. The league table showed it. That all changed in 2021. With the stroke of a pen and the transfer of billions, the Saudi Public Investment Fund, known simply as PIF, acquired an 80% stake in Newcastle United. For some, it was the ultimate golden ticket. For others, a controversial new chapter. But for everyone in football, it was a sign. Newcastle was about to play a very different game. Instead of scraping by, Newcastle poured money into shaking off years of stagnation. New players, new facilities, a new manager with modern ideas. Under Eddie Howe, the mood shifted from survival to ambition. Performances improved. Fans believed again, filling every seat and breaking records with a staggering 52,000 average attendance. Newcastle had gone from also-rans to real contenders, almost overnight. Yet, in the high-octane world of modern football, ambition comes with a catch, one written not on the back of a shirt, but in the rule book. The Premier League's Profit and Sustainability Rules, or PSR, are designed to stop clubs from risking financial ruin for short-term glory. Some call them a safeguard, others, a straitjacket for clubs with new money and big dreams. The rules are strict. Clubs can lose only a certain amount, currently £105 million over 3 years, before facing possible points deductions or transfer bans. Money pumped in by rich owners isn't a free pass. Every transfer, every wage, every commercial deal is scrutinized. For Newcastle, this isn't just a technicality. It's the cliff edge they walk every time they spend. It's why that match against Everton matters so much. Champions League qualification doesn't only mean glory, it means a financial lifeline, a loophole, and a springboard, potentially all at once. Let's put the numbers in perspective. Simply qualifying for the Champions League means at least £17 million in extra revenue just from UEFA distributions. But that's only the start. The real jackpot? The ripple effects. TV revenues climb. Sponsors scramble to get their logos on shirts and hoardings. Global audiences tune in, boosting the club's brand value. And perhaps most crucially, top-class players finally answer Newcastle's calls, knowing the club can offer football's biggest stage. Alan Shearer, Newcastle legend, summed it up in a recent interview. Champions League qualification is a game-changer for Newcastle, attracting better players and increasing revenue. This is the virtuous cycle Newcastle dreams of. Qualification brings money, money brings players, players bring more success, then more money. Under the surface, though, there's a far more complex puzzle. Newcastle can't just spend what they like. The Premier League's PSR mean every penny is counted. But here's the interesting twist. These rules don't always act as expected. For instance, player transfers are amortized. If Newcastle signs a player for $100 million on a 5-year deal, that fee is spread as $20 million per year in the accounts. This opens up clever possibilities. According to club insiders, if Newcastle beats Everton and secures Champions League football, they could structure deals in such a way that they could, on paper, afford up to 3 or 4 $100 million players and still comply with PSR. The rumors are swirling. Will they go all in? On the other hand, failure to qualify for the Champions League slashes this leeway dramatically. Reports suggest their PSR headroom would shrink to as little as 40–50 million, a far cry from the financial firepower they'd hoped for. Suddenly, the summer transfer market would look very different. Dream signings might remain just that, dreams. This isn't just about player trading. Newcastle's entire business model has been re-engineered for the modern era. The club has secured a $25 million a year shirt sponsorship with Sella, a Saudi-based brand, a deal that wouldn't have been possible without PIF's global connections. They're also investing $60 million into a state-of-the-art training ground, set to open by 2026, and have grown their commercial revenue by a projected 40% in the next fiscal year. But with big investments come big risks. Every pound spent on infrastructure has to be balanced with short-term needs, wages, transfers, and squad improvement. The failure to qualify for Europe's top competition doesn't just hit the books this year, it puts future commercial deals, fan enthusiasm, and even the club's global expansion into question. Kieran Maguire, a respected football finance expert, warns, Newcastle's long-term financial health depends on balancing ambition with PSR compliance. It's a knife edge, made sharper by shifting regulations. Every summer the rules seem to change. Clubs meet to debate financial controls, and new amendments could hit the balance sheets at any time. Fans can feel this tension. Inside the stadium there's euphoria, but also nervous glances at the scoreboard and thoughts about the summer window. Will Newcastle finally land the marquee players they crave, or will heartbreaking sales become necessary to stay within the rules? The stakes are nothing short of existential. January 2025 offered a glimpse into the current strategy. The club spent a net $15 million, not on superstars, but on young, unproven talent, likely a move to spread risk, develop future stars, and keep costs low for PSR calculations. Meanwhile, the club's global scouting network is expanding, especially into the untapped markets of South America, seeking hidden gems. It's a far cry from the days when Newcastle was accused of throwing money at the problem. Now every decision is a chess move, every contract a test of foresight. As Gary Neville, the ex-England star, points out, Newcastle's biggest challenge is to manage expectations while building a competitive team. But there's another wild card. In June 2025, Premier League clubs will vote on a new set of financial rules, potentially rewriting the PSR playbook. For Newcastle's Saudi-backed owners, the uncertainty is a headache. Do they gamble now, trusting they can spend bigger under new, perhaps looser rules? Or do they play it safe, focusing on sustainability and risk another year on the outside looking in? The financial calculations aren't just technical, they're emotional. Fans want trophies, but they also remember the dark days of austerity, relegation, and embarrassment. The owners want glory, but they crave legitimacy, a place at the top table where their investments are respected, not resented. In this vortex of ambition and anxiety, small details become pivotal. A missed penalty, a freak injury, a referee's decision. All of these could tip Newcastle's season and their financial destiny one way or the other. Meanwhile, some voices urge patience. As ESPN's Gabriele Marcotti notes, Newcastle's owners are committed to building a sustainable club, but they need to be patient. Patience, however, is something football rarely grants. There's also the looming prospect of player sales if the books don't balance. Even the most beloved stars could be sacrificed on the altar of compliance. Already, rumors swirl about rivals circling for Newcastle's best talent, ready to pounce if Champions League dreams die tonight. The stakes grow even sharper when you consider the domino effect. Missing out this year means less money for next year. Less money next year means it's even harder to catch up with the likes of Manchester City and Arsenal. Newcastle could be trapped on the outside, watching rivals pull further ahead. The club's ambitious infrastructure, a stadium bursting at the seams, a new training ground, and a ballooning scouting network, could become liabilities, not assets, if top-level football is out of reach. Yet, hope remains tangible. The fans, the owners, and the team themselves know this moment won't come again soon. Champions League football is a springboard that could launch Newcastle into a self-sustaining cycle of money and glory. Lose, and it's an uphill struggle against a system designed to keep new money in check. Win, and anything seems possible. As the referee's whistle sets the game in motion, one question looms over the roar of the Geordie faithful. In a world where money, rules, and dreams collide, can Newcastle United seize their destiny, or will the system designed to sustain the game actually end up holding them back? So, what happens if Newcastle wins, or loses, tonight? What secrets lie behind the dazzling sponsorships and clever financial engineering? And how could one match decide the future of not just a club, but the very rules of football itself? The answer might surprise you. Now, as the clock ticks down to kickoff, Newcastle fans and football insiders alike ask, what doors swing open or slam shut on the other side of this dramatic Everton showdown? For the club, its owners, its players, and its city, that question pulses with urgency. Let's pull apart the future scenarios, layer by layer, to see what's truly at stake and how the aftershocks could reach far beyond Tyneside. First, let's imagine the euphoria of victory. Newcastle qualify for the Champions League. The financial windfall, estimated at a minimum of £17 million from UEFA alone, is only the tip of the iceberg. As Alan Shearer recently said, Champions League qualification is a game changer for Newcastle, attracting better players and increasing revenue. The immediate benefit is obvious. Newcastle's directors will unlock a summer war chest. The club could conceivably spend upwards of £100 and £150 million, exploiting the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules headroom like never before. This isn't just about signing any big-name player. The power of Champions League football is in its magnetism. Players who once saw Newcastle as a mere stepping stone will now give the club a second look. Imagine a world where the names at the top of Eddie Howe's wish list actually answer his phone call. The strategy shifts from hoping to land unproven talents or patched-up loan deals to bidding confidently for world-class stars willing to sign 5-year contracts, with wages that mirror the club's raised ambition. But beyond transfers, think about sponsorship and branding. The Sailor shirt deal already brings in $25 million a year. With Champions League status, Newcastle's profile shoots up, making the club even more attractive to global sponsors. According to the latest projections, commercial revenue is set to jump by 40% next fiscal year, fueled not just by the Sailor deal, but by new, lucrative agreements that would have been impossible just a season ago. Let's not forget the fans. A record-breaking average attendance of 52,000 has filled St. James Park week in, week out. Champions League nights would supercharge matchday revenues and fill the city with energy. More merchandise sold, more international supporters, more reasons for the owners to invest in stadium expansion down the line. Infrastructure projects, like the planned $60 million training ground set for completion in 2026, get a lift too. As football finance expert Kieran Maguire notes, Newcastle's long-term financial health depends on balancing ambition with PSR compliance. Ongoing investment in facilities and youth development becomes more feasible with this Champions League bonus, providing a platform for sustainable, not just short-term, success. But the path is not free of peril. Even with these riches, Newcastle remain hemmed in by financial rules that are about to shift. In June 2025, Premier League clubs will vote on a revised set of financial controls, potentially impacting how much Newcastle can spend or how quickly they can grow. The club's accountants must bake uncertainty into every major contract, every transfer negotiation, every sponsorship deal. One regulatory tweak could mean millions gained or lost. Now turn the page. What if Newcastle stumble against Everton? Miss out on the Champions League? The immediate cost is obvious, £17 million less prize money. But deeper wounds open up, a summer budget slashed to a fraction, maybe just $40–50 million worth of safe spending under PSR. Ambitions dim. Instead of shopping for Champions League caliber players, Newcastle compete for promising prospects and bargain buys. A marquee signing becomes a long shot. The focus shifts to extending contracts, loan deals, or snapping up undervalued gems from emerging markets like South America, where their newly expanded scouting network is already working overtime. This approach can pay off, as seen with shrewd January signings of young, unproven talent for a controlled net outlay. But it requires patience and, critically, the ability to hold on to current stars. Without European football, the risk of losing key players, those lured by promises of Champions League glory elsewhere, increases. The club's wage structure, so carefully managed, could be tested by agents seeking exits or pay bumps. The absence from Europe also means missing out on the intangible benefits. The city feels the loss. That buzz in the air, the economic boost to local businesses on match days, that global spotlight, it all dims. Even with a record attendance, the crescendo of Champions League anthems is replaced by what-ifs and maybes. Newcastle's commercial surge faces a ceiling. Without the allure of top-tier competition, secondary sponsors hesitate or push for lower rates. Growth continues, but not at the breakneck pace envisioned by the club's Saudi owners, who remain patient but aware of the need for tangible, visible progress. And then comes the regulatory shadow. Even without Champions League injection, the club still must walk the PSR tightrope. Here, the margin for error shrinks. Every purchase, loan, or contract extension is scrutinized. The looming Premier League vote on tighter financial controls turns into a potential storm cloud, one that could force Newcastle to prioritize austerity over ambition, at least temporarily. But here's the twist. Whether Newcastle win or lose, the system itself is under pressure. The surge of sovereign wealth, not just at Newcastle but across European football, is forcing authorities to rethink the rules. If the club's ambition is checked by red tape, the voice of football's new money may get louder. Will the regulations bend to keep the English game competitive on the continent? Or will the Premier League double down on its fiscal guardrails, making Newcastle a test case for the next generation of financial fair play? It's this tension between old and new, ambition and constraint, growth and governance, that will define Newcastle's future. As Gary Neville pointed out, Newcastle's biggest challenge is to manage expectations while building a competitive team. Success on the pitch brings its own complications off it. Every celebration is shadowed by a spreadsheet, every transfer rumor by a line in the PSR ledger. For viewers, what's the lesson here? It's a window into the modern football era, where money and glory are ever more entwined, and where every result ripples through a web of financial, political, and regulatory consequences. If you're a Newcastle fan, a football investor, or just an armchair analyst, here's how you can use this knowledge. First, watch the results with a wider lens. That final whistle in a match like Newcastle versus Everton isn't just a sporting event, it's a financial tipping point. Every goal, every save, every substitution can mean millions gained or lost and affect multi-year planning. Understanding the stakes helps you decode transfer window headlines, wage wrangles, and the often mysterious decisions from the boardroom. Second, keep an eye on the regulatory horizon. Just as clubs like Newcastle must prepare for changing PSR or UEFA rules, so too can fans and commentators learn to anticipate the next wave of football's financial revolutions. The June 2025 vote could upend the landscape. If you're in business, banking, or sponsorship, these trends could help you place your bets and your marketing budgets more wisely. Third, there's a blueprint here for other clubs and communities. Newcastle's transformation, powered by strategic investment, diversified revenue, and careful compliance, offers lessons for would-be challengers across Europe. If your club is dreaming of its own golden era, study how Newcastle leverages commercial deals, talent spotting in new markets, and infrastructure investments to lay the groundwork for sustainability, not just bursts of spending. Above all, remember that success in football today demands as much from the calculator as it does from the training pitch. As Eddie Howe himself put it, we are always looking for ways to improve the squad within the boundaries of financial fair play. Passion and pragmatism must march hand in hand. Now, as we close, let's return to our hook. What exactly are the financial scenarios, potential transfer moves, and regulatory risks Newcastle will face depending on the Everton result? And could the system itself be forced to change? The answer, in full relief, is that Newcastle's fate rests on a knife edge. Win, and their pathway to the footballing elite is thrown wide open, with Champions League cash unlocking transfer ambitions most fans could only dream of, and the club's commercial clout expanding at dizzying speed. Lose, and another season of careful, perhaps even restrictive management awaits, relying on patience, smart scouting, and the hope that financial reforms or future results put them back in contention. Either way, Newcastle stand as a symbol of a new era in football, one where financial power and regulatory constraint are locked in a dynamic and sometimes uneasy dance. The very rules meant to ensure long-term sustainability may soon be stress-tested by the ambition of clubs like Newcastle. Will the Premier League yield to the pressure of change or hold the line? That story is still unwritten. And here's a secret fact that few outside the club's financial circle know. Part of Newcastle's resilience lies in the quiet expansion of their global scouting network, not just as a cost-saving exercise, but as a tool to uncover hidden gems that can be bought low, developed, and either sold high or unleashed on the pitch. This strategy, already bearing fruit, might just be the club's silver bullet if big money moves are put on hold. So, as Newcastle United fans hold their breath ahead of the Everton clash, and as the football world watches, it's clear, the stakes have never been higher, the consequences never deeper. Whether it's Champions League nights on Tyneside or a year of regrouping and rebuilding, one thing is certain. The Newcastle story is just beginning. If you found this deep dive valuable, Be sure to hit like and subscribe for more expert breakdowns on the evolving business of football. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Newcastle will seize their Champions League moment, or will financial hurdles hold them back? And how would you change football's